So, it's been in the talks now for a few months about Sony potentially buying Crunchyroll. I've talked about this a lot. I made like 2 to 3 videos on it in these past few months. And now, officially, Sony bought Crunchyroll. Now, effectively, what does this mean at this point? Now that it is official, it's no longer rumor, it's no longer talk, but it actually has now happened. What this means now is Sony effectively owns Aniplex, Funimation, and now Crunchyroll. They own 3 major sources of anime. It's almost a monopoly. At the very least, when it comes to Western localization, they definitely own a huge chunk of the anime. I mean, Netflix does have some projects, so does Amazon and Hulu, but let's be honest here. Most of the stuff that many people go out of their way to watch is usually on Crunchyroll and Funimation. And seeing now that Sony owns all 3 of those, Aniplex as well, it's a massive ordeal. And there is a lot of obviously good and bad things that can come from this. And one of the huge things that I made very apparent in my previous video I made on this subject was that when Sony, if they do buy Crunchyroll, they won't really have much of a competition anymore. They won't have as much, I guess, competitive nature to go towards. Like, they won't have to be as competitive because they own basically a major chunk of everything of anime that gets localized, and there's nobody that can really compete with them, especially with the way that, they release anime, the way Funimation and Crunchyroll release anime. Netflix doesn't really do that, and I mean, Hulu and Amazon try to, but let's be honest, people don't really like their services for a reason. It's really horrible services, like, especially with some things, like with ads on some things, to how Amazon's catalog is just awful, like in terms of just trying to find something. So when you really just think about it, it's scary. It's really scary because now what it means is that there's no reason for these series or these websites to actually innovate, which is a huge part of why there always needs to be competition. But it's not just that. Now that this is owned, there is some good news. What this means is theoretically, Sony could make a whole new, I guess, website or service that actually structures Funimation and Crunchyroll all together into one package and basically have every series on one subscription service. This basically means that you would save a lot more money. Instead of having to buy a Funimation subscription and a Crunchyroll subscription, you now would just only need to pay for one subscription and you would have everything. So this is relatively good news in that regard. However, it still potentially might lead to a price jump of the subscription service. Basically, the 2 prices of Funimation and Crunchyroll might combine into one, and so what might be, let's say, like $5 or $8 a month could now eventually be like $15 to $16 a month. What I'm trying to say is that the subscription service might jump in price when they probably combine the catalogs of both different sites. Now, that is obviously a concern, but another thing that comes to mind, I think many are very concerned about, is censorship. Sony has been known in recent times to censor things in all sorts of products they own. And one of the ones that I'm affiliated with is obviously anime, and they have definitely used their type of pool to censor some things before when it comes to anime. And many are concerned now that Sony has Crunchyroll, this might lead to that also happening on Crunchyroll's service. I really want to give them the benefit of the doubt and assume that's not going to happen, but obviously things can change with time. I'm concerned, not for maybe just the censorship, but just the fact of the lack of competition and no reason to really innovate anymore if they have no competition. But yeah, this is the news so far. So Sony, they officially own basically all of anime, at least in the West. So, yeah, now, that's interesting. But anyways, I'll leave it at that. I love you guys. You have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. And with that, Chibi out.